Spring is in the air. That means opening day baseball. Birds are starting to chirp. Flowers are starting to bloom. Snow is starting to melt, mostly. And especially in the Boston area, we've got marathon fever on full tilt. By the time this is uploaded, we are less than 2 weeks away from the Boston Marathon. And in celebration of that, and my most recent announcement that I have joined the Ready Set Marathon team, offering run coaching services for the half marathon and full marathon, figured this would be a really good time to share my own experience at my very first marathon, the Chicago Marathon. And boy, was that a trip. I had an absolute blast, but also caught myself making three critical mistakes that I really should have known better. My coach told me as much, and I was being a little stubborn, if I'm honest about it. It was a tough day. It was an awesome day. Wouldn't change it for anything, but figure this is a great time to share that experience with you. So let's get right into it. What it do? So they say you never forget your first one. And yeah, 100%. For those that don't know the backstory, I took to running right around 2016. I was well onto my fitness journey there, dropping a bunch of weight and figuring I needed to do something with this newfound fitness, and took up running. I had run 2 half marathons and was lucky enough to get a lottery spot into the 2017 Chicago Marathon. I thought I was ready. I was not ready. There was some other training runs in the area, lots of the run crews getting ready for Boston Marathon, so it was really easy to get nice long run groups together. We actually had a group of us running from Framingham into Boston. It was about 18 miles. Fantastic. And even on that day, I felt cool, confident. I was cruising. Only problem was that was still months before I actually needed to start locking in on my training in earnest. And that is exactly where I made mistake number 1 right out of the gate. I was frustrated with heart rate based training. Let me explain. My coach had set my training plan and gave me some guidelines to build those base miles and get comfortable with running on a regular basis, recovering and doing it some more. Once the training block actually started, all right, I needed to adhere to low heart rate based running. And I thought that would work just fine. I set my watch. Okay, cool. I'll stay in zone 2. Let's go. And I kid you not, 3 minutes out the door. Beep, 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 beep. What's going on? Apparently I'm running too hot. And I stopped and walked and I started running again. Beep, beep, beep. I was like, what is going on? It was annoying. It was frustrating. And I didn't think I was working that hard. So I just ignored it for the rest of that run. Came back, left the notes. This was annoying. I'm not doing it. The next run, and eventually I just turned the zones off, and I told my coach flat out, listen, I'm not doing this. I don't think this is for me. I've got a good base of fitness. Now, bless her heart, she explained everything to me, why this was important, how it would benefit me in the long run, but it just wasn't sinking in. I thought after running those 2 half marathons, after doing the 20 miler, the 18 miler, that I was good to go. And I didn't need this low heart rate. That's for somebody else. I'm good. That comes back to bite me later on in this story. But either way, we're going along and, life kind of happens. First off, our daughter was born, and that changed the way I trained almost immediately. Went from being able to get it in whenever I wanted to, whether that was lifting in the gym, going out for a ride, getting in those miles, to, oh no, I gotta get back. Let me stay within a certain zone. Let me not stray too far away. I found myself many a times just zigzagging through the neighborhoods just so I wouldn't be too far from home, leaving my wife and kid at home. So that definitely put a curveball into things. Obviously, I wasn't getting as much sleep as I would have wanted, as anybody would have wanted during their training. So really having to work around that. And to further complicate things, I made a change with my career. I left one company and, decided to start on a new venture. And, it sounded like a good idea on paper, but it was a lot of moving parts between offboarding everything here and then getting familiar with my new surroundings and setting things up and getting going at my new place of business. It definitely made things a little tougher than it needed to be, which is, again, I was leaning on my coach for advice, which begs the question, why would I listen to my coach with everything else except the low heart rate? It just didn't make sense, right? Either way, training plan is going along. Everything is starting to feel good. Some of those long runs are really starting to get to me. And I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure of experiencing a Boston summer, but it goes from really, really nice and temperate to 80% humidity like that. And wow, that beat me down. I had no idea how I was going to string all of these together. Running after work some days, running on like 4 hours sleep, up late with the baby some days. It was all starting to pile up on me, which then leads to the next mistake I made. I just raced too damn much that summer. Admittedly, I was excited. I was still pretty new to running and all my friends were running these races. So if I heard that, hey, there's this 10K over here, bet, I'm signing up, I'm there. And I ran them all like it was the goal race. That was the real problem. Nothing wrong with getting some races in for experience, being in the corral, or even using some of those as a well-catered long run where you don't have to carry all your gels and water with you and all that. But I was going out like every single one of them was the A race, forgetting that, oh, you've got a bigger goal in mind in training for this marathon. So I just kept beating myself up with these hard efforts, half marathon after half marathon. Honestly, I think I raced like 10 events that summer, and it was a lot. The most I've ever done, actually. Never again. But I just didn't know what I didn't know. I insisted, even though I was advised to kind of pull back and not do so much, I just kept kind of going with it. And as that all built up with the lack of sleep, with the, changing careers, with the overrunning, I thought I was ready. I was doing the work. I was checking the things off of the list. And in some of those conversations, coach was asking all the right questions. And I'm like, yeah, no, I got it. We're good. Fast forward. We get to October and I'm flying out to Chicago. And turns out my coach was running the Chicago Marathon as well. So I had the pleasure of having, someone come there with me, and once we landed, we met up, went to the expo, had an absolute blast, did a whole lot to kind of mentally prepare me for what to expect. But again, there was another warning sign that she explicitly told me, ooh, we might want to adjust your paces because it's gonna be like 65 degrees on race day. I didn't come all the way out here to give it less than my best. So I thought, screw that. I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm gonna go with what I think. I didn't know how to adjust and pull back anyway, right? I'm sure you can see exactly where this is going. I wake up on race day morning frantic and, get some breakfast within me. It's pitch black outside, I'm walking from my hotel and there's just the sea of runners all walking in the same direction. And immediately that just encompassed me, I don't even feel like I was aware of what was going on. It was just this like out of body experience. Like I was watching from above as we were all shepherding towards the start line. Real cool, except I get to, the check-in and, they're screening all your stuff and I had to be there by, I want to say 7 o'clock, but my wave wasn't going until like 9:30. Uh-oh. Well, by that time, I'd already used the bathroom once, digested my breakfast, got hungry again, needed to use the bathroom a second time. I sat down, I stood up, I was warmed up, now I was cold, needed to warm up again, whoops, false alarm, sit down some more, and I had no idea what that situation was. And for those of you, if this is your first Boston Marathon coming up, definitely be ready for that. There's going to be a lot of waiting around after you get to Hopkinton. Same is true at the New York Marathon. I haven't run London, but I would bet London, Tokyo, Berlin, same situation at all of these majors. You got to get ready to wait. So I was not prepared for that. By the time, I finally do get ready and my wave is going, somehow I end up at the front of the corral. That was not the plan. And for whatever reason, I got this in my head that, you know what? I'm gonna run a 4-hour marathon today. Again, not part of the plan. That was probably the last mistake I made. The entire time in my training, it was all about enjoying the process, fitting it into my schedule, making sure that I had a positive relationship with running, and last minute totally scrapped that and said, meh, I'm gonna go out and set a time goal, which then put some expectations, some pressure on me, and before I knew it, the gun's off, I'm with the 4-hour pace group, and we're going. And early on, I'm feeling good. Boy, we're partying. I'm going. I'm in with the crowd. I'm doing it. And everybody's cheering. It's hype. My wife is there with our daughter, and she's hopping in and out of trains to zoom around the course to see me a couple of different times. I mean, it was so damn good. Everything was going great. I even remember coming through Chinatown and just high-fiving everybody that I came across. I mean, I was feeling it. But the heat starts to get to me. And I didn't realize the heat was getting to me until, oh, hey, it's pretty cool that the fire trucks are out just hosing everybody down. Yeah, it is kind of warm. Oh, hey, they're handing out sponges. I've never seen that. And ice cubes. Wow, this is cool. I'll take some of those. Looks like they knew and were prepared for that. I was still cooking like it was, 40 degrees and brisk. Big mistake. So that's starting to come to bite me. The accumulated miles on the legs, without proper rest and recovery, starting to bite me. And really, still pushing through. I couldn't tell you where I was, but I'm looking at my clock. And now the pressure that I imposed on myself, this 4-hour pressure that I told myself, oh, you gotta get it. Why would you do that on your first time, dude? Didn't make any sense. And as I looked at my watch and I saw it cross to 4 hours, 4:01, and maybe it's like mile 19, 20 at this point, I start to break down. If I could cry, I would have cried. I was absolutely dry, which also led to the cramping. And now I'm locking up on the side of the road. And for an event that is run by tens of thousands of people, it felt very lonely out there as I'm trying to stretch against this sidewalk. And oh my God, it was terrible. But we didn't come this whole way to not finish. So, gathered myself, and that was an important part of my training that I did actually listen to was, hey, as you're going along on some of these long runs, it's okay to just stop and stretch it out. And I did practice that along these runs. After a while, I did find the groove, and you stitch one foot in front of the other and just kind of string it along, keep the momentum going. And before I knew it, I'm coming across the carpet and hands in the air. Oh my goodness, I've just run my first marathon. So many lessons learned in that experience. Number one, about having an A race and sticking to that A race and not making every race an A race, you know, prioritizing the experience over just a time. Don't get me wrong, there is a time and a place to really tighten the screws, but your first crack at any distance generally should not be the time that you put any pressure on yourself with some kind of lofty expectation. The goal should be to finish and to finish strong. It was like the perfect fruit salad of mistakes that I made, and all of those kind of came down to dramatically slow me down. And I know that because next time around, yes, I had more experience, I had more base miles, more base fitness, but I cut my marathon time by 44 minutes at my second marathon. And most of that was attributed to, oh, okay, I didn't beat myself up with too many other races, and probably most importantly, I paced myself appropriately and ran within what I could actually do instead of some pie in the sky goal of what I thought I should be able to do. But that was my first marathon. Tell me down here about your first marathon, half marathon, Ironman, half Ironman, whichever. Let me know in the comments if you remember how it went, what shoes did you wear, what city was it in, and how did you get on? I appreciate y'all checking this one out. Till next time, it's been real.